Hello, YouTubers and NFL fans everywhere. This is Matt, the NFL Fanatic, with my Week 13 2015 NFL predictions. Well, this week, for the first of the last 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, for the final 6 weeks of the year, or final 5 weeks, I'm sorry, with 16 games, I did a very good 10-5. That equals 66% winning, and I think for the first time since week 3 was when before all the buys started happening, I have a double-digit win week this week. So I'm very happy with that. And now overall for the year, I am 106 and 69. So that puts me up a little bit above 60%. Now at about 60.5%. Again, I still have about 5 weeks to go. So hopefully, like I said, like I said last week, I took out the 70% percentage, and now I'm just shooting for just the lower 60s, 64, 65. But we will see how that will go. What a crazy Week 12 in the NFL season last week. So many big-time shakeups in both conference playoff races. Kudos to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans, who today, after starting both 1-5 and 2-5 respectively, today they would be the 5th and 6th spot respectively in the playoffs. And if Kansas City can hold on to this momentum, they will be the first team since in the modern playoff era, when the 2 wild cards were introduced in 1990, to start out 1-5 and actually be able to make the playoffs. So a tremendous credit to them. That was a very impressive game by Kansas City all around. They put up 30 points. So for them, that's very shocking, especially against a Rex Ryan-led defense. And kudos to Alex Smith. 8 straight games without a turnover, and he currently has the longest active pass attempt streak in the NFL without throwing an interception at 283 attempts. So kudos to Alex Smith. He's playing very efficient football, and his team is playing very efficient football. And now everybody has finally, including myself, has seen that this Kansas City Chiefs team still has that 2013 and 2014 firepower and grit that they can get on this kind of roll. Even though hopefully Justin Houston, he left the game with a sprained knee. Hopefully he can get back healthy and they can get motivated. So kudos to the Chiefs. I'll mention the Texans real quick. Again, they've won 4 straight. They won 24-6 over the New Orleans Saints. But for the first time in 46 games, Drew Brees did not throw a touchdown. And also at the same time, for the first time in over 156 games, the New Orleans Saints did not even score an offensive touchdown. That was the second longest streak in NFL history. They had gone almost over 10 years without a game where they did not score an offensive touchdown. So kudos to the Houston Texans, and kudos to J.J. Watt for getting another 2 sacks, which boosts his lead to 13.5 sacks. He is playing like the $100 million man that the Texans paid him to be. Let me see here. Other big shakeups. Kudos for the Seattle Seahawks for getting their first win against an above 500 team all year. They were 0-4 entering the game. And kudos to Russell Wilson for throwing a career-high 5 touchdowns on his 27th birthday. What a great birthday present. Though I know for Seahawks fans, kind of like New England, it was a win, or well, maybe not like New England, it was a win with a loss because they lost their big tight end, Jimmy Graham, their prized possession of the offseason, to a torn right patella tendon. He is out for the rest of the year. There's a part of me that's disappointed because Jimmy, he made a big play that turned the momentum of the game when he caught that juggling catch. That was a Jimmy Graham type play that Jimmy Graham can make. But at the same time, just for any Seahawks fans that watch my videos, I'm one of those people that kind of I didn't see that much of a difference, where Jimmy wasn't being that effective. You could call it play calling, you could call it the offensive line, you could say it's his inability to block, but maybe Luke Wilson, who's been with this team now for a few years, he may be a better option at this point to be effective in this offense than Jimmy Graham. I'm just putting it out there. But I do wish Jimmy Graham a speedy recovery, and congrats for the Seahawks. Hopefully they can build a tremendous amount of momentum and get in the playoffs and be that sneaky dark horse. Even though, again, you could say, how is a two-time defending NFC champion, two-time defending NFC Super Bowl participant a dark horse? Well, again, they've looked really great against pretenders, and they've struggled against contenders. So, obviously, to me, I'm not sold on the Seahawks against the better team. So we'll see about that. And kudos, and before I get to my picks, tremendous kudos to the Denver Broncos for beating the New England Patriots in a thrilling Sunday night game. I thought the Seattle-Pittsburgh game was the game of the week. I was wrong. It was the Denver-New England game. It lived up to all the hype. And kudos for Brock Osweiler becoming only the second quarterback in NFL history to win his first or second start against Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. The only other QB to do that is Mark Sanchez. So I'm not saying that Osweiler is going to be Sanchez, but he did something very rare that not that many people can do. And that's one of those obscure trivia facts, yes, that I know that maybe a lot of people don't. So, and also it's kind of odd. This has also dropped Tom Brady's overall record against Denver to 6-8, and he is now 2-6 all time in Denver. Tom Brady has a winning record against everybody else in the NFL except one team, the Denver Broncos, and he's lost to a bunch of different quarterbacks because he's now lost to Danny Cannell, Jake Plummer, Kyle Orton, and now Brock Osweiler. That's just odd to me. That okay, you can include Peyton Manning in there, and of course Tebow didn't do anything. But those four quarterbacks as a Denver Bronco were able to beat Tom Brady. That's just unbelievable. But kudos to the Broncos. I know there were a lot of bad officiating as well. The clock all of a sudden went down to 10 seconds. The illegal offensive pass interference that was ticky-tacky. There was, holds against the Broncos. And, of course, the Patriots were ravaged by injuries, and they lost Rob Gronkowski for the final portion of that game. To me, though, it's something where you have to give Brock credit. This was his second start against the best team in the NFL, or the best team in the AFC. This is Tom Brady. And he did something that it took Peyton Manning 6 tries to before he did, which is beat Tom Brady. I know it's like, and how much credit he probably deserves about, I'll say 20 to 30% of the credit, because C.J. Anderson had a phenomenal game, and that defense, even though it got away with some holds, but the New England defense got away with, every game has that. He was able to get a massive victory, and I will have to tell you this right now, if New England, has a slip-up, or they just have one more gaffe, the Denver Broncos will be the number 1 seed and have home field advantage. And I think if Brock can continue to play well, I think just for the Broncos' sake, they should keep him in the starter. I know that Peyton Manning and all that, it's like, oh, that's wrong for Peyton. That's not fair. Well, you know what? This is a win-now league, and I want any Bronco fan to tell me out there that right now Brock Osweiler has played more efficiently in the last 2 games than Peyton Manning has played the entire year. And to me, it's something where, for a lot of Bronco fans, I kind of feel like, I said this when he first got the job, they can use that momentum or this rallying cry. This one's for Peyton. Brock's not really playing, he's playing for himself to get practice, but he's playing for Peyton Manning because Peyton Manning, I think everybody could agree, deserves to have one more championship. And he will deserve credit for this season. One more championship added to a pristine resume. The greatest regular season quarterback in the history of the game deserves to have one more ring. And I think all those guys, if they pull the trigger and name Brock the starter for the rest of the year, and if they get there, I think that should be their battle card. This one's for Peyton. So those are my thoughts on all those games. Time for my picks. This Thursday, when the 7-4 Green Bay Packers go to the 4-7 Detroit Lions, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. And then on Sunday, when the 6-5 Seattle Seahawks go to the 8-3 Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks. When the 9-2 Cincinnati Bengals go to the 2-9 or 3-8 Cleveland Browns, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. When the 4-6 or 3-8 Baltimore Ravens go to the when the 4-7 or 3-8 Baltimore Ravens go to the 4-7 Miami Dolphins, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens. When the 6-5 Houston Texans go to the 5-6 Buffalo Bills, I'm going to take the Houston Texans. When the 3-8 San Francisco 49ers go to the 5-6 Chicago Bears, I'm going to take the Chicago Bears. When the 4-7 Jacksonville Jaguars go to the 2-9 Tennessee Titans, I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars. When the 6-5 Atlanta Falcons go to the 5-6 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When the 9-2 Arizona Cardinals go to the 4-7 St. Louis Rams, I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals. When the 6-5 New York Jets go to the 5-6 New York Giants, basically just a home game for both teams, I'm going to take the New York Jets. When the 11-0 Carolina Panthers go to the 4-7 New Orleans Saints, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers. When the 9-2 Denver Broncos go to the 3-8 San Diego Chargers, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos. When the 6-5 Kansas City Chiefs go to the 5-6 Oakland Raiders, I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. When the 4-7 Philadelphia Eagles go to the 10-1 New England Patriots, I'm going to take the New England Patriots. And then in the Sunday night game, when the 6-5 Indianapolis Colts go to the 6-5 Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then in the Monday night game, when the 5-6 when the 3-8 Dallas Cowboys go to the 5-6 Washington Redskins, I'm going to take the Washington Redskins. Alright, time for my thoughts on each game. Green Bay at Detroit. Wow, talk about two teams that are in opposite directions. Green Bay, after starting out 6-0, has dropped 4 of their last 5. And Detroit, after starting out 1-7, have won 3 straight. The power of Martha Ford, the scorn of Martha Ford, has really worked on this team. They've given up 14 points a game as a defense, which is very impressive, much less than they were when they were on that 1-7 run. And they've won 3 straight. And there's a restoration of the roar in Detroit, and they just obliterated the Eagles 45-14. Stafford threw for a career-high 5 touchdowns. And for Green Bay, it's one of those odd things where that Lambeau feeling, for the first time since the Aaron Rodgers rookie year in 2008, the Packers lost back-to-back home games. And this is a team that now has gone 1-4 when they put up less than 17 points. Okay, when they put up less than 17 points, they are 0-4 this year. When they put up 17 or more points, they're 7-0. And I think that is very telling, for this team. But there's just a part of me when I look at this game. Detroit has all the momentum going for them. And it's kind of like Minnesota. Detroit has all this momentum. They have nothing really to lose. They're a great kind of maybe comeback story possibly. But I just have to take Green Bay just because it's like the Lions haven't swept the Packers since 1991. And if the Packers have any sense or any hope of making the playoffs or just have any pride to say we are still the Green Bay Packers and we are still one of the best teams in the NFL, they have to win this game. So again, obviously, my stat that I used, the 14.3 points a game they've given up in the last 3 games, compared to Aaron Rodgers, if they score less than 14 points, they're not going to win. I think the Packers will score more than 14 points. I think their defense will be able to get to Stafford a bit. He's always had trouble against them. And I think this Packer team, in a nail-biter, because I think Detroit, they played well. And they won last year in Detroit. I think where Stafford had 3 turnovers and they still won. But with everything going on with just this offense, and I know the receivers have been dropping balls and they've been struggling, I just don't have confidence that the Lions, if the Packers are who we thought they were, maybe they're not. Go with the great Denny Green. The Packers should win this game. Because if they have any confidence or any pride about themselves being one of the best teams, they have to win this game. If they don't, I will say this right now, the Green Bay Packers are not making the playoffs. They're not. So, that's why I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers to beat the Detroit Lions. Seattle over Minnesota. This is a bit dicey for me. Seattle, again, they had a phenomenal game yesterday against the Pittsburgh Steelers, putting up 39 points. Russell Wilson, like I said earlier in the video, put up a career-high 5 touchdowns. But also at the same time, I believe that that Legion of Boom defense struggled mightily. Marcus Wheaton, the third wide receiver on that team, put a Legion of Boom high. Ever since that defense is fully together, he is the first receiver to put a 200-yard game on the Legion of Boom defense. They give up franchise highs in passing yards, which is very un-Legion of Boom-esque. And, you know, again, you could say, well, Pittsburgh has the weapons to do that. Okay, that's fair, but that's still a very big concern. And you could be saying, then why are you taking Seattle? And also, I mentioned earlier, they are 1-4 now against teams of 500 better, and Minnesota's 8-3, obviously, and they're above 500. I just think, for me, the one thing that Minnesota doesn't have is wide receivers. And Teddy Bridgewater is not Big Ben. To me, you know, Seattle, they've won the last 2 games. They've given up 20 points a game to the Vikings the last 2 games. I think they can do the same thing with this offense because, again, the Minnesota Vikings, even though they have the #1 rushing attack and one of the best defense in the league, and they did a great job against Atlanta, they got 2 big picks on Matt Ryan, who's continuing to crumble. I just think that, again, when you look at Minnesota, they only have 1 home loss on the year, which was against Green Bay a couple weeks ago. I can't see this offense. It's so AP and run-centric, which I think that the Seahawks can control a lot better, to be able to be effective in the air. Because Teddy Bridgewater is not that kind of quarterback that I could see him with the weapons he has being that effective. Again, could the Legion of Boom give some things up? Absolutely. But when you look at some of the offenses and look at some of the playmakers that have burned the Seahawks this year through the air, besides Nick Foles, which maybe was an aberration, in my opinion, you look at Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense. You look at Cincinnati of A.J. Green, Jones, Sanu. You look at Pittsburgh with Big Ben. You look at Palmer with Floyd and Brown. They have all giant playmakers. Minnesota has 1 legitimate playmaker in AP, and then a bunch of good to average players on the outs. Mike Wallace has basically been an afterthought. Stephon Diggs has come out as to be a very decent #1 receiver, and right now he's their #1 receiver. Kai Rudolph's an average to a little bit above average tight end. He can make some plays, but he gets hurt, but he also has some drops. And I just think, again, Seattle gained a bunch of confidence in that victory. And to me, I feel that the Seattle Seahawks just have that confidence has to translate into this game. If Minnesota can win this game, I think that'll be the definite for Seattle, and that'll be a huge confidence booster for Minnesota. And actually, I will tell you this, that would be probably maybe even a bigger win than beating the Packers at home is beating the Seahawks. Because if they could shut down if that offense can score enough to outdo Russell Wilson with what he can do, that's a huge statement for the Vikings, and that's a tremendous confidence booster going forward. Again, it should be a great game. I'm expecting a low-scoring defensive game, but I'm going to go with the Seahawks in this one just because of what I said earlier, is that the Seahawks have struggled against offenses that have had a lot of firepower. And again, I might be biting myself in the foot. I might have said I should have taken Minnesota because they were a contending team. And again, like I said, Seattle was 1-4 against teams of 500 or better. But I'm going to take Seattle just because they have to take that confidence from that victory. And even with all the injuries, they have to be able to go into a very tough place to play and be able to shut down a Vikings offense, which has shown that if you can shut down the run, you basically have the Vikings beat because Teddy Bridgewater has not matured enough yet to be able to beat you with his arm. So that's what I'm going to take the Seattle Seahawks to beat the Minnesota Vikings. Cincinnati over Cleveland. Cincinnati absolutely dominated St. Louis. They had 3 interceptions on Nick Foles. Dalton threw for 3 touchdowns, and they just obliterated them. And they're playing a Cleveland team that right now, they're gonna have Josh McCown back as starter. They have Austin Davis as the backup because Johnny Manziel got demoted to 3rd string after a video got released of him partying out in Austin. And I think here's the thing for all Browns fans or all Johnny fans. And let me first disclose, or let me first mention before I start into this, that I want Johnny to succeed. I was a Manziel fan. I thought he was a great playmaker, and he had a lot of, great instincts about him in the game. But the problem is he has too many off-the-field issues to me to say that he should keep him. Because I will tell you to all the Browns fans that watch this video, or watch my videos, I believe Johnny Manziel has played his last down in Cleveland, and I also believe he's played his last down in the NFL. This guy has too many off-the-field issues that I would want to have on my team. He is much more trouble than he is worth. And now, not only does he have, and it's with the alcohol. Browns fans that want to support Johnny, you do realize that, and I've seen a lot of people in the comments section and on different message boards saying, oh, well, Johnny's allowed to have drinks. Johnny's allowed to have some fun. Well, people that are allowed to have drinks and are okay with that were guys that did not go to rehab. Johnny Manziel checked himself into a rehab facility on his own. And that's one thing that you just do not want to have. And he seems to didn't care. To me, I made a joke about it. His stay at rehab was about as ineffective as trying to get Amy Winehouse to rehab. So, to me, Browns fans, you just have to realize this guy has too many off-the-field issues that I wouldn't want to deal with. It's not about his ability, it's about his off-the-field issues. And also, he also has domestic incident. He has a domestic incident, not violence, incident with alcohol. And now he lied to the head coach about his issues. So to me, you know what's funny? Johnny Manziel doesn't seem like an NFL quarterback. He seems like a better fit for the Fox show Empire. He seems like, with the domestic incidents, the drinking, and the lying, he seems like a better fit for Empire on Fox than in the NFL right now. I just have to be honest. That's what he sounds like to me. And this comes from a fan, but to get back to the game, Cincinnati, they've dominated Cleveland the last two games, 61-0. Or 61-10. I'm sorry. In the last two games, they played the Browns. And even though Andy Dalton, amazingly, is only 500 in Cleveland, he's lost 2 times there. And Josh McCown's had a pretty decent year, but just with the Bengals' momentum, the Bengals have something to play for, and they're motivated to get a season sweep of the Browns for the first time, I think, in Dalton's tenure, or maybe the second time. And I think just with everything going on with Cleveland, you have Tyler Eifert, who's now leading the league and leading all tight ends with 12 touchdowns, which is incredible. And I just think Cincinnati just has, again, way too much firepower for McCown to face against, especially with this kind of week that they've been having. Especially on a short week playing the Ravens as well. So, again, it should be a pretty decisive game, but I'm going to take the Bengals to beat the Browns. Baltimore at Miami. This is awkward. Tonight we have our first game with Matt Schaub and Buck Allen at the helm at quarterback and running back. And basically now I can't even laugh at all the injuries we've suffered. We now have Jimmy Clausen as a backup. But it's something where I just have this confidence in saying the Ravens can put up a fight, and I think they will do enough, or something will happen, where we're going to get a break. I think we're going to get a break tonight against Cleveland, and I think we can get a break next week against the Dolphins. You know, again, would I be surprised if the Browns or Dolphins win tonight or next week? Absolutely not. With the way we've been going this year, absolutely not. But we are playing a Dolphin team that, first of all, Ryan Tannehill has never beaten us. He's 0-2 all-time against us. And this is a team that is just coming off a dominating and pathetic loss by the New York Jets again, where the Ndamukong Suh, who I read this great story earlier, where he said in the locker room that he now is running this defense, and there are guys on that defense that he doesn't feel like that are on his level. With Suh being the leader of that defense now, mind you, from earlier this week, or quote-unquote leader, the Dolphins gave up the most points they've given up the entire year. So, good job, Suh. Great showing of leadership there on the defense. So, again, there's just a part of me with the Dolphins. They lost Koa Misi. Rashard Matthews went down. So they're battling injuries just like we are. You know, this game it's a meaningless game. I would call it a crappy toss-up. But there's just a part of me just going with the Ravens. I'm going, well, you know what? Matt Schaub, he's a veteran quarterback. You know, he's a guy that at this point, it doesn't really matter, you know, how good or bad he does, because, you know, he's a backup. He's a journeyman backup. But I think there's just something in me saying Matt Schaub on that day or next week can do enough or make one less mistake or one more play than Ryan Tannehill can. That's what it comes down to for me. Because, the secondary, Miami has the edge, and obviously Miami has a big edge at defensive line. But they're not really being that motivated. They're, all in disarray. And I think that the Ravens, with how we fight, we've been competitive the whole year. First team in NFL history to have all 10 games decided by a touchdown or less in wins or losses. 4.6 points per loss, 3 points per win. So we literally could be, 10-0 at this point, or we could be 0-10. But we'll never know. But to me, I think if, we can get 2 nice wins, it'll give us confidence to say that we were a better team than our record indicated. And, to get 5 wins, if my predictions are right, that's pretty good. Again, it should be an interesting, competitive game. I know a lot of people really don't care, or I know it really doesn't mean anything in the whole standing perspective. But I'm going to take the Ravens here just because I just have a little bit more confidence that either Schaub will make one more play or Tannehill will make one more mistake. And I will be honest, it could go the other way as well. So that's why I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens to beat the Miami Dolphins. Texans over Bills. This is something where, again, you look at Houston. They have gone from 2-5 to 6. They've won 4 straight, and they are in great position in 2 perspectives. They are tied with the Colts for their division lead, and they're in the 6th wild card spot. To me, I look at Houston, and I'm looking at a team that is playing phenomenal defense. Phenomenal. They've only given up, from what I've seen, I think he said only 2 touchdowns in the last 4 games. That's incredible defense. This team is on an all-time high. J.J. Watt, like I said earlier, has 13.5 sacks, which is leading the league, and he is dominating offensive lines like J.J. Watt can. Brian Hoyer and T.J. Yates, they've been playing efficient football now. Again, they're not blowing their socks off with how they've been playing, but they've been playing efficient football enough to say, hey, you know what, we can lead this team. And to me, this is another one of those games where you look at it, this is almost an identical image in about a lot of ways. Houston and Buffalo have very loaded defenses. Okay, they do. You have defensive lines that are riddled with first-round picks and great free agent pickups on the defensive lines. The secondaries are about even. I think, you could, if I had Jackson and I'd give Houston a little bit of an edge. But it's not that much of a difference from the Bills secondary. The Houston and Buffalo wide receiving corps. You have Hopkins in Houston, you have Watkins in Buffalo. All the other receivers revolve around those receivers. And then the running games, true, you have Shady McCoy, who's done a decent job, and he's way better than what Houston has, and that might be the difference, is that Shady has the running game, and Houston has a little bit of a better secondary. But so that to me would cancel out. Everything else is about the same. So in this game, when I look at it, it all comes down to me for the quarterback. And there's just a part of me going, Tyrod Taylor, he's 5-3. I'm sorry, 5-4 in his 9 games starting, and he's lost back-to-back games. I think the first time all year as a starting quarterback. And there's just a part of me going, I think the Houston Texans can contain him in the pocket. Because that's how you beat Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor's had a very effective year. And I think that the Buffalo Bills do have a quarterback that they can build around. But to me, I look at it and say this. The Houston Texans will make kind of the same thing with Baltimore, man. I think Brian Hoyer, with his experience, can go into Buffalo, where the Bills have already lost 3 times. So they're not a great home team. And I think they can have enough firepower on defense and offense, and with just momentum. Because now the Bills have lost back-to-back games, and they've lost 4 of their last 6, compared to Houston winning 4 straight, where the Texans can get this win. And also with Carlos Williams having a shoulder injury, that's really big because Carlos Williams has been a very effective number 2 back for this team, and I think he's a bit of a spark plug that Shady can't be. So again, this is going to be a fun game to watch. This is a very underrated game on the schedule this week. A lot's on the line here for both teams, and I would not be surprised if the Bills win this game. But I'm going to go with Houston just because I believe in taking the team with the momentum. So that's I'm going to take the Houston Texans to beat the Buffalo Bills. The Bears over the Niners. Wow. The Niners almost beat the Cardinals in San Fran. Actually, with their loss yesterday, that was the first time in over 7 years where the Cardinals had won in San Francisco. So, you know, that's pretty big there for Arizona to get that win in San Francisco. And it was just something where I was incredibly impressed with that Niners defense. They were playing the number 1 overall offense in the league, and they held them to 20 points. Which, I think that's only happened one time the entire year, which was when they lost to Pittsburgh. So kudos for the Niners for holding them to 20 points or less. You know, kudos to the Niners defense for a phenomenal job. And Blaine Gabbert, amazingly, I will give him his credit. He's playing efficient football. He still isn't good, but he's actually playing efficient football where I'm going, you know what, Blaine Gabbert, you know, he's doing his job at a decent level. But to me, though, it's one of those things where this Niner team, though, they just still can't be able to close games, and they're playing a Chicago team who is incredibly happy right now. They've won 4 of their last 5, 5 of their last 8 after starting out 0-3, and they're coming off Jay Cutler's first ever win in Lambeau against Aaron Rodgers. This Bears team has played very effective football. If 2 field goals don't go their way, they could be 7-4 right now, and very much in the NFC North race. But they're just a part of me with the Bears. They haven't really been that effective at home. They've lost 3 games. But they're playing a Niner team that I think also, with Vic Fangio facing his former team at, defensive coordinator, I think he's going to have that defense motivated. Because I think that he got slated as the head coach for their defensive line coach, Tom Sula. And with what Fangio's doing with that defense, it's incredibly impressive. And again, Chicago, for me this year, along with a few other teams, is that awkward team where every time I pick them, they win. Or every time I pick them, they lose. And every time I don't pick them, they win. So could San Francisco put up a fight against this Bears team? Yeah, they could. Because San Francisco still has enough talent, and Gabbert, can make a couple plays that can make this interesting. But I think there's just part of me going, Chicago has Langford, they just have a lot of confidence and more talent and just more of a good skill set to work with than what the Niners have. And if I had to take Jay Cutler or Blaine Gabbert in a battle, I'll take Jay Cutler any day of the week. And Jay Cutler, for the most part, has had a pretty effective year. I have to give him his credit. Good for him. And Adam Gase, he will be leaving the Bears next year because I believe he will be a head coach somewhere. So again, I'm going to take the Bears to beat the Niners. And overall, for my locks this week, take Cincinnati over Cleveland as a lock, take Arizona over St. Louis as a lock, and take Pittsburgh over Indy as a lock. So those are my 3 locks for the week. All right, next game, Jacksonville at Tennessee. My God, we have to watch this twice in 3 weeks. Ugh. Jacksonville got torched by Phillip Rivers. So kudos to the Chargers for ending their 6-game losing streak. That was much well-deserved. And Jacksonville, just when you thought that maybe you could put up a fight, you lose to a Charger team that just the week before had put up 3 points against the Chiefs. I'm not saying that your defense was as good as the Chiefs, but I didn't think that you could give up 31 points. But you are playing a Tennessee team that right now it would be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Tennessee has just looked... It's painful because they've looked much more competitive, and Mariota's had his moments, but also Mariota's had a lot of rookie moments as well. He had a great touchdown against the Raiders, and then the Raiders defense or the Raiders offense was able to come back. Seth Roberts yesterday with a 10-yard touchdown gave the Raiders the lead, and just when Mariota was trying to get back in, he throws a miscommunicated interception that ended the game. I think that's either the second or third time that's happened this year at home. Oh, yeah, the other time it happened was in Buffalo. Same kind of circumstance. He threw it into triple coverage, and they got picked off and ended the game there. But there's one stat that I know of that I'm just going to take Jags. Tennessee right now has the longest active home losing streak in the NFL. They have lost 11 straight games at home. That is unbelievable. Talk about home field disadvantage. That you look at the 2 wins the Titans have had, they haven't even won at home this year. Their 2 wins were at Tampa and at New Orleans. So, to me, Jacksonville, even as much fight, they beat this Titan team just 2 weeks ago, 19-13. They did a good job. Mariota had an effective game. And I think, again, this game could be just about the same kind of quality, except I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the Jaguars here just because they did it just 2 weeks ago. So, and I don't think in 2 weeks that much has changed between the Titans and the Jags. Not as much change, so my pick won't change as much either. So that's why I'm going to take the Jaguars to beat the Titans. Tampa Bay over Atlanta. Atlanta has cooled off tremendously. After starting out 5-0, they're the miniature version of they're the 1 game behind version of the Packers. After starting out 5-0, they've gone 1-4 in their last, 1-5 in their last 6 games, and they've lost 4 straight. And Tampa, who hit a bit of a snag against Indianapolis, Jameis, he threw a really bad pick that he didn't need to. And Matt Hasselbeck just clearly, still playing phenomenal football. Actually, he is only the 3rd quarterback in NFL history to have 4 straight wins at 40 years old or older. Only Brett Favre and Warren Moon had the distinction as well. So kudos for the old guy maintaining the Colts' dominance. And by the way, the Colts have won 3 straight games. Good for them. But it's something where when you look at Tampa, they've been just a lot more effective, and they just seem to have a lot more fight than what I've seen out of the Atlanta Falcons over the last 6 weeks. When you look at the Atlanta Falcons, they are 1-5 when they put up 21 or fewer points. The only win they had, which was was against Tennessee, where they won 10-7 against Zach Mettenberger. Everything else, 21 points or lower, they've lost every other game. They lost to New Orleans, they lost to Minnesota, they lost to Tampa, they now just lost to Indy. And it's that awkward feeling of this Atlanta team, this offense has not been able to do very well. Matt Ryan has taken a huge step backward this year. Let me look up his numbers here real quick. Let's see. Matt Ryan. Let's see. In the last several games, he's put up, during all this losing streak, he's at least thrown an interception in he's at least had a turnover in every one of their losses. And over the last 4 games, he's put up 7 touchdowns compared to 6 interceptions. And he's thrown at least 3 or 4 red zone interceptions, which is unbelievably crucial and heartbreaking to see the Atlanta Falcons. And I think he's had about 6 red zone turnovers if he counts the 2 fumbles against New Orleans. So, again, this game, Tampa's trying to do something they haven't done since 2007, which is sweep the Atlanta Falcons. And I just think, again, Jameis has had a lot more confidence, even though, again, he's been a much more effective road quarterback than a home quarterback, only throwing, I think, about 3 interceptions on the road, and he's thrown about, over the last 6 games, he's thrown about 7 or 8 interceptions at home. But there's just a part of me going with Atlanta and Tampa. Tampa's on a bit more of a positive momentum. They have enough talent to beat up this Atlanta defense. They have Doug Martin, who is third in the league in yards per game, and this was Atlanta, who was the number 1 rushing defense going in. They got 156 yards put on by AP. I'm not saying Doug Martin can do that, but I think Doug Martin can have a 100-yard game, and that can definitely help the play-action game with Vincent Jackson and Evans out there at wide receiver. Could Atlanta put up a fight? They maybe could. If Ryan doesn't turn the ball over, this game could be way more competitive. But I'm going to take the Bucs here just because Tampa's just looked more competitive and more afire than Atlanta. And I just, at this point, not taking Atlanta right now is the safe option. just because they've looked incredibly overrated. And amazingly, they are still in the wild card race, even though now they're the 7th seed because Seattle won. Again, it should be a competitive game, and if Matt Ryan doesn't turn the ball over, I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons win. But I'm going to take the Bucs just because I have a better vibe about Tampa right now than Atlanta. So that's going to take the Bucs over the Falcons. Arizona over St. Louis. Like I said earlier, Arizona won its first game in San Francisco for the first time in 7 years. And they are playing a Ram team that they are trying to sweep for the first time since 2008, I believe. Yeah, since 2008, the last time they won the Super Bowl. I think every other year since then, or maybe a couple other years, either the Rams swept them, but I don't think that's happened. And also, St. Louis, this team is just pathetic. It's wasteful. I believe Jeff Fisher deserves to be fired at the end of this year. He is a overrated coach, and I will say this right now: he is one of the most overrated coaches in the history of the NFL. Another fun little stat here. There have been about probably, I think they said, about 12 or 13 coaches that had 4 straight losing seasons, and it might be a few more, give or take, that had 4 straight losing seasons to start out their tenure. Out of all those coaches, the one that was able to come back, the one that was able to come back for a 5th full year after that was Jeff Fisher. And I just don't understand what everybody sees in him. Everybody talks about bringing the defense, and I was actually having a conversation with people about, somebody mentioned it, he deserves 2 more years. And, it's like, this guy was a Rams fan, and he was like, I've been with this team since LA, since Linehan, since Spagnuolo, and we haven't given enough time. But I'm like, you've given too much time for Fisher. This team has too much talent, and I don't care about the quarterback, not only because they tried to get a quarterback, and that failed, but in 2013 and 2014, Kellen Clemens, Austin Davis, and Sean Hill were able to beat the 2013 Indianapolis Colts 38-8, the New Orleans Saints 26-10, the Denver Broncos 22-7, and the Seattle Seahawks 34-27. So even with no quarterback, your teams were able to beat those great of a team. So you won in spite of your quarterback. So don't give me the excuse of, we don't need a quarterback. Well, how were you able to win those games? But again, I believe all the Rams fans, they should stand up and say that they want Jeff Fisher out of here. And just, to hear his press conference, to say like, it's not about effort, or, he was so angry he cut off a couple reporters. You know what, Jeff? Just realize that your time's up. But to get back to the game, Arizona, they're the number 1 offense in the league. This Rams offense, here's another great stat. The Rams offense in the last 4 games has put a grand total of 3 offensive touchdowns on the board. Yeah, that's right, I said it. Yes, a Rams offense in the last 4 games has played more games than they put offensive touchdowns up. So when you're going up against a defense like Arizona's, good luck with that. And they're motivated too, because they should have never lost that game in Arizona to begin with. So they're going to be, spitting vinegar, breathing fire to beat the crap out of the Rams, which are a low-list team right now. So that's going to take the Arizona Cardinals to beat the St. Louis Rams. The Jets over the Giants. I just have a feeling where I think Ryan Fitzpatrick will have a decent Ryan Fitzpatrick game. And he's playing against the Giants secondary, from what I heard yesterday, is on pace to maybe give up the NFL record for most passing yards in a year. And I know Revis was out, and they lost also Marcus Gilchrist to an injured knee. Calvin Pryor was under scrutiny for injuring Rashard Matthews. But I just like this Jets offense. You have Marshall, you have Decker. You have Chris Ivory, who's really running the ball effectively. Eli Manning, you don't know what Eli Manning you're going to get. Are you going to get good Eli, Eli Elite, or bad Eli, and, the 3-time leading league interception leader, who, until the 4th quarter, couldn't really complete a pass if he threw it into the ocean. And this is kind of an awkward game. This is really a home game for both teams. They're just going to put the blue stuff on instead of the green. But when I look at the Jets and the Giants, I kind of feel like the Jets, they just have more personnel to work with all around than the Giants do. The Giants have had offensive line injuries. They really haven't had that great of a pass rush. Their secondary's been banged up. Hakeem Nicks and, I think if you put Cromartie and if Reeves can play, but those two guys out there, I think that's going to, hassle the Giants offense enough. And I think, again, I trust Todd Bowles in this kind of game with what he has of weapons to be able to just make one more play or make one more good decision than Tom Coughlin will. Again, the Giants, they're not going to be that hungry for it because think about it. If they lose, they're only just a game back out of the NFC East. I mean, they're only just a game back, and they'll be fine. The Jets, they need this win. If they want to get any kind of playoff push, they need this win. I think the Jets' hunger, that's going to be the difference. To me, the Jets' hunger is going to be the difference in that game. So that's why I'm going to take the Jets to beat the Giants. Carolina over New Orleans. This is the easiest game of the week for me. New Orleans has just looked woeful and sad. They've lost, I think now, like 3 straight. I said all the offensive things earlier. And you're playing the best team in the NFL right now. And the healthiest NFL team right now in Carolina. And I'm going to say this right now. I think Carolina has a decent chance to go 16-0. The only two games I can see tough for them are the Atlanta games. At Atlanta in two out of 3 weeks. At Atlanta, home against Atlanta. And even that might not be as a struggle with how bad Atlanta's been playing. Cam Newton right now, and I know I'm going to, people are going to hate me saying I think he is the MVP candidate. He is the number 1 MVP candidate. I know Brady lost, and I know he had all the injuries. But to me, it's like, hey, you got to give Cam his credit for guiding his team to an undefeated record where, Brady, as much as he had a chance, and even with the lack of weapons that he had, he wasn't able to get the job done. And this is kind of a very symbolic game. Because it was actually probably 1 year from this week last year where this Panther team started this 15-game winning streak. And they blew out the Saints, I think, 41-10. And I think of how bad this Saints defense is, it's the worst defense in points per game. I believe the Carolina Panthers can do the same exact thing against the Saints defense. And again, I think, Carolina also didn't have Philly Brown or Tillman, so if they get those guys back, that's even going to make that defense and offense just that much more effective. Can New Orleans put up a fight? They're in the Dome. They're playing a division rival, and the Saints, if they want to, they can score points on anybody. But if it even got to that, I think Carolina could outscore the Saints with what they have. So again, this is a pretty lopsided game, but give me the undefeated team over the struggling and very disappointing New Orleans Saints, who still can't find any D in defense. So I'm going to take the Panthers over the Saints. Denver over San Diego. Denver has won the last 4 games in San Diego, dating back to 2011. The last time they lost was 2010. San Diego, congrats to them. Like I said earlier, they snapped their 6-game losing streak by beating the Jags 31-25. They maybe got lucky, depending on who you talk to, with that onside attempt. People thought that maybe they batted it. Stevie Johnson batted it 4 out of bounds, but it was sideways, so I can give that up. But Denver, I just have to trust them in saying that, Denver's been playing really effective football. Brock Osweiler, 3 touchdowns to an interception. Beating Brady. If you can beat Brady and you can, if you can beat Tom Brady with what you have on offense, you surely can beat Rivers with the lack of offense that he has and the very frustrating defense he has as well. Can San Diego put up a fight? Rivers is Rivers and he can make some plays. But also, Phillip Rivers has, he beat the Jaguars. And I know I picked the Jags, and I knew they were on a bit of a roll, but the Denver Broncos and the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2 totally different levels of competition. And after betting against Brock the last 2 weeks, I'm going to put my faith in him against this Charger team, which is, woeful, very, very, it's Ravens West-esque. I think that he has enough in him, the Broncos, or I have just enough faith in him now, that the Broncos can win this game. And if he goes 3-0 and he has another good, like, 2 touchdown or, 60% completion, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, or 3 touchdowns, 1 interception game, I think that noise of keeping him in there will continue to grow. So that's going to take Denver to beat San Diego. KC over Oakland. Oakland, to me, just they're playing the Kansas City Chiefs at the wrong time. If this was KC in the first 5 weeks, or first 6 weeks, and the Oakland in the first 6 weeks, I would have probably given it to Oakland. Now, from what I've seen out of Oakland over the last 3 to 4 weeks, I have to give it. And what I've seen out of KC over the last 3 to 4 weeks, I'll give it to KC. Their defense has been incredibly impressive. Spencer Ware got over 100 yards. That's their third string running back, by the way. Third string behind Shadarick West and Jamal Charles. The Chiefs have, I think, swept the Raiders the last 2 years. Yeah. I think the Chiefs swept the Andy Reid has... No, I'm sorry. That's wrong. Andy Reid lost to them last year. I forgot, in Oakland. Which was Derek Carr's first win, by the way. But I think with KC, they've been able to show that they've been able to put up points. They put up 30 points on Oakland, or on Buffalo. I think they can put up another 30 points if it has to go to that against this Raiders pass defense, which has been very bad. And I think KC, they just have the confidence and they have the motivation from last year to say that, we can beat this Raider team, which has been, better. Definitely better, but definitely inconsistent over the last few weeks from what we saw of the Raiders the first 6-7 weeks of the year. So that's what we're going to take the Chiefs to beat the Raiders. New England over Philadelphia. Philadelphia, what a train wreck they've had this year. They gave up 45 points for the first time in franchise history in back-to-back games. They're playing a Patriot team that is angry and motivated. The New England Patriots under Bill Belichick have never lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. And also it's just something where, as long as you have Tom Brady, and I know the Patriots have dealt with injuries the entire year, but as long as you have Brady, you have a chance to win this game. And you're playing a Philadelphia team that literally just does not care. DeMarco Murray has 545 yards. This time last year, through 10 games, he had 1,233. That's 688 yards different than what he did last year. Okay? And some of that does go on the offensive line, but I do believe some of that goes to coaching and general managing by Chip Kelly, who I believe will get fired at the end of this year, and he deserves to get fired because he made his bed, and he deserves to sleep with whatever he comes up with it. And there are people out there saying, well, blame the GM, don't blame the coach. Well, the GM and the coach are the same guy. So, obviously, you can't really say, Chip, we want to relieve you of your general manager duty. No, because then you'd have to get rid of Chip overall. But again, this game, I think New England, they're angry, they're motivated, and just with Tom Brady alone, heck, you could bring up 5 of the worst wide receivers in the NFL. If you had Tom Brady throwing them the football, I would take them right now against how bad this Philadelphia Eagles defense has been playing with Tom Brady. And that's what it comes down to for me. I think Sam Bradford, can he make some throws? Yeah, but he's not going to be that great. And again, I just think you have an angry Patriot team that wants to get back on track, and they have a big game against the Texans next week on Sunday Night Football. They need to get ready for, and I think with this game against Philadelphia, they're going to get ready for it by steamrolling the Eagles. That's going to take New England over Philadelphia. Indy at Pittsburgh. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here because I believe Big Ben will be out of concussion protocol. He actually put himself in there, which is very smart, and I commend him for that. And but at the same time, I just think, again, Pittsburgh, and here is another great stat, and again, another shout out to NFL YouTube Prognosticators, including Matt the NFL Fanatic, and anybody out there. I'm a big stat person, so if you're going to call me Matt the Stat, or Matt and his stats, I definitely know a lot of them. Pittsburgh has played 10 home games against the Indianapolis Colts in existence. They've only lost 1 time at home to the Indianapolis Colts in franchise history. So I think that, that's a huge edge for Pittsburgh. In Indianapolis, there is a part of me, shout out to King Poetic. Me and him have had this debate about Matt Hasselbeck and Andrew Luck. I want Matt Hasselbeck to win, maybe just for that reason, just to continue to just rub it into him. That Matt Hasselbeck was the better option. that Andrew Luck for this year, again alone, if he goes to 5-0, and I think it was like 65% completion for Hasselbeck, 55% for Luck, 12 interceptions for Luck compared to 2 for Hasselbeck, and 5-0 compared to 2-5. So those are the 3 numbers I'll put out there. Anybody that wants to comment on that, let them know. I believe that Matt Hasselbeck should be the starter for this team if he continues to play well, and for the rest of the year, because this Colt team needs that kind of momentum, and Luck needs that Pagano needs it as well to keep his job. So, but again, though, I think Big Ben will be able to come back from his injury and play very effective against the Colts defense that has shown that it can give up a lot of points. And, yeah. And very quickly, I only got a couple minutes here before my video ends up. Washington over Dallas. Kirk Cousins is Hulk at home and Bruce Banner on the road. In his last 5 home games, he's 5-0 with a 76% completion percentage. 1,436 yards, 9 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. So this team is basically got a very good home field advantage going on right now. Dallas right now, they've lost 7 of their last 8 games. 8 of their last 9 games, and now Tony Romo, for the 3rd time, has broken his clavicle, and he is now out for the rest of the year. And with Tony Romo, they were 2-0 in all the road games Tony Romo started. They're 0-3 in the other ones that he did not play. And they are 1-9 overall in the 10 games that Tony Romo has missed over the last few years. And just something where, again, I think Washington, they're at home and they have something to play for. They actually have the division lead for the first time since the last week, or week 16 of 2012, the last time they won the division. So, to me, I think Washington, they know what they have to do. They're playing a lowly Cowboy team that really has nothing to play for now, except maybe a draft pick and maybe just a couple, quality, confidence-building wins. But with that home dominance by that Redskin team and how efficient Kirk Cousins plays at home, I'm not going to bet against that this week. So again, that's why I'm going to take the Washington Redskins to beat the Dallas Cowboys. So those are my thoughts and picks for all this week. Like, comment, rate, subscribe. Also, please check out the NFL YouTube Prognosticators page. Shout out to guys such as Gio Knows, Billy B, Half Moon's Picks, Master Chief L at JustMyPicks.com, Michael Stroop, he's a great prognosticator, Andrew Warren, Edwin Lerner, Mason Cole, TJ Harmon, King Poetic. Hey, again, buddy, like I said, I'm taking the Steelers, but I want Hasselbeck to win, just to irritate you more about what I said about him. Again, hey, I'm going to put it up again. 4-0. 4-0, baby. 4-0. I know they look 0-4, so let me put that up differently. There we go. Wait. Yeah, so 4-0. 4-0 for Hasselbeck. And I just want to continue to rub that in for you. King Poetic, Bridgewater's Finest, Philadelphia, I'm trying to think of all the other Cameron Robertson, Oren Gremberg, all those guys out there, please check out their Logan Schiff, all those guys, please check out their YouTube channels. They're great prognosticators like myself, and they have a lot of great insight on a lot of the big games every week. And that's it. So good luck to all teams, players, coaches, fantasy players, and fellow prognosticators. And until next week, this is Matt, the NFL Fanatic, signing off. Until next time.